How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RuffledRowlit, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have ourselves a bunch of news. The Nintendo Direct Switch 2 announcement just happened, and with that Switch announcement, we have a bunch of new things that have been revealed, confirmed, and shown to us. One of those things, of course, is going to be about Legends EA, and then, of course, the actual console itself. I'm going to first talk about everything Legends EA related first, because, of course, it's a Pokemon channel, so we're going to talk about Pokemon first, and then we're going to go over and talk about all the stuff that was announced during this Nintendo Switch announcement, including the pricing of the Switch and everything in between. So let's first start off with a short trailer that came out for Legends EA. Now, this specific little showcase was showing Legends EA running in at least 60 frames a second, because this is a upgraded version. Yes, there's an upgraded version of Legends EA, which is going to be playable on the Nintendo Switch 2. It is now confirmed. Legends EA is going to get a special Nintendo Switch 2 edition, and we can see from just the frame rate here that it runs a lot better. In terms of the gameplay that's being shown, it is still just Lumios being shown in the background, so it's not like anything crazy special about the location or anything. So there's nothing crazy there. And it's going to be launching later this year, of course, as we already know. I don't know if like the Switch 2 version is going to launch at the same time, but the actual gameplay stuff we've already seen, same locations, but the frame rate looks better. Graphically, though, it still looks the same. I don't think the game's going to look much like graphically different between Switch 2 and, regular Switch, but it will run faster. So you can see already here, like the frame rate here looks like 60 FPS. Like it actually looks like it runs faster and better. And it's going to be one of the games that's going to get a Switch 2 edition. So yes, that means that this game, like Legends EA, is officially going to get a Switch 2 version alongside the regular Legends, regular Switch 1 version. So yes, that's one of the games. The other games are, of course, Mario Party Jamboree, which is also getting a DLC called Jamboree TV. You also have Legends of Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and Forgotten Lands, which is also getting a DLC called Star-Crossed World. And, of course, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is also getting it. So that is what's related to that. Moving on, though, we do have some other stuff as well. We have a tweet from Nintendo saying, enjoy your adventure in Lumio City with an enhanced resolution and frame rates. Yes, that's the biggest thing, right? It's going to be enhanced. It's going to be playable in, I think, the 4K version of the Switch 2, because the Switch 2 is going to have 4K 60 FPS when docked and 1080p 120 FPS when it's being in handheld mode. So that's great. And yes, the game is going to finally be properly playable. So there's that. Moving on, though, we have some crazy stuff to talk about, which is Nintendo has confirmed that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet will get a free Switch 2 update. However, note that the changes won't be as big as Legends EA Edition. But yes, we're going to be getting a free update for select Switch games. Now, these two Switch games is going to be specifically Scarlet and Violet. So yes, if you have Scarlet and Violet, you can actually play it on your Switch 2, and it will get an update that will make the game run better. Like, graphically, it will look probably the same, but the FPS may actually run better, which is amazing news. So you can see free updates to improve playability on Nintendo Switch 2 system will be released for select Nintendo Switch games. By connecting your Switch 2 to the internet, you can download free updates that may improve performance or add support for features such as game share in select games. So that's perfect. And of course, the first two games that are mentioned for that is Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. So that's pretty much all we know in regards to that. And this is the entire summary of everything we know in regards to Pokemon projects for the Nintendo Switch 2. Number one, Pokemon Legends EA will receive a fully native Switch 2 version. So yes, you can buy the game for Switch 1 or Switch 2, and it will perform better because I will have a more, like, graphically, frame rate and resolution-wise, way better performing version on the Switch 2. The Switch 2 edition will have improved graphics and frame rate, 60 FPS, exactly what we saw in the trailer. And a paid upgrade will be available, but we don't really know how much that's going to cost. I think the Japanese upgrade cost is between $10 to $20, which is, fine. But if you're in Europe or the US, that may go up to 15 to 30 instead, because there is actually a price hike if you are in the West rather than the East. Japan has actually the lowest cost out of all the different countries at the moment. They also say that, of course, here, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet will get a free update with some improvements on the Switch 2. The exact changes are unknown at this time. And then, of course, Pokemon Gen 10 Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive will be happening next year. So yes, this wasn't confirmed in this presentation, but we already know this from the leaks, that yes, there's going to be a Generation 10 game next year announced probably, and it's of course going to be a Switch 2 exclusive game, most definitely, right? Most guaranteed. But at least that game will be running at 60 frames a second, so that's going to be nice. So it's not going to look like shit, which is great. There's at least some good news. Now, we've gone through the stuff that's been here about Pokemon. That's mostly the Pokemon stuff. If you're curious about the price in Europe, this is the starting price. This is the MSRP. This is the starting price for the actual console. If you're buying it in Europe, it's €469.99, which is pretty hefty. I will say. But I will move on to the next thing, which is we're going to run through every single thing that was pretty much announced today in regards to non-Pokemon related stuff. Starting things off, Mario Kart World, which is the brand new Mario Kart game. It's actually an open world Mario Kart game that's going to be a specific Nintendo Direct happening on April 7th at 6 a.m. PT and 9 a.m. ET, in case you guys are curious to see what the game is going to look like beyond just what was shown here. In terms of the actual images here, you will see some of the other stuff that was actually shown. There's a bunch of screenshots of new characters, new locations, and the game is going to have a free roam mode where you can just go in the open world and do stuff. Again, Mario Kart World is a Switch 2 exclusive. Time of day and weather conditions can go off course. So yes, you don't have to actually drive on the course. You can just drive out into the distance and do whatever you want. It's pretty neat. Actually looks like a pretty decent game if you're really into that. Next up, we have some new features for the Switch as well as the new Joy-Con. So there's a new C button, right? If you look at the Joy-Con, there's a little C button down at the bottom there, and that C button will now allow you to use what's called game chat. Now, this will allow you to communicate with your friends and family in-game. Literally just looks like Discord down here. You can even screen share, but the screen share does have really low frame rate and looks pretty bad. But the Switch 2 does come with a built-in microphone, which can pick up your voice from a distance. There's also going to be a game screening share option. You can also chat while playing different games, and ability to adjust your game screen size as well. So there you go. There's also the new Switch 2 camera. It doesn't really show the best kind of performance, but it's going to be about $50 in cost based on what we've heard so far. Moving on, Switch 2 camera available at launch. I don't think they show the price here, but I think it was about $50. And also, apparently the game chat open access period will start. So basically, if you want to use the game chat feature, you need to pay for Nintendo Online, but it's going to be free until March of next year, or the end of March next year. So you will need a subscription for that. Also, they have announced a few other things. Like GameShare announced local play with other systems. Share up to 3 systems supports online play. So yes, you can actually share your game. If it's a game that has co-op or something like that, or a game you want to play with other people, you can actually locally, with people that are close to you, share the game temporarily to play with them in case, like, let's say you want to play Legends EA or whatever, and you want to play with a friend or something. If there's a co-op mode in the game, you can actually just share it with them. But again, this is limited to certain games. They haven't announced how many games have it. This is the list of some of the games, like Captain Toad, you got Super Mario 3D World, Clubhouse games, Mario Odyssey, and Big Brain. You know, there's like a few games that have been announced, but that list may increase over time. Next up, we have some information about the Switch itself. So, first of all, Switch 2 screen is 1080p and up to 120 frames per second. Yes, they will be using HDR, so yes, your footage will look better. The game will actually look better. LCD screen, which supports HDR support. Joy-Cons are now magnetic. It has bigger SL and SR buttons, and as well, like on the in the back. Larger control sticks, so your actual the joysticks themselves are larger. There's going to be mouse control, so yes, you can use it like a mouse. This is going to be useful for games like Sid Meier's Civilization, which has been confirmed for the console. There's going to be 3D spatial audio. There's a new stand, which is large and sturdy. You guys have seen it right here, which does come with, Ethernet support now, which the LAN support wasn't on the original, dock here. I think I have another dock up here that I can just quickly really check here. No, the original never came with any sort of Ethernet connection, as far as I'm aware. I don't know if they changed that in the OLED, but in the original dock, there never was any such thing. I'm looking at it right now, and no, it only has HDMI, USB, and then AC adapter in here, and then there's only regular USB on the sides here for controller support. So no, the original dock didn't have that, so it's nice that Ethernet now is a thing, because that really helps for somebody like me who has really bad Wi-Fi but have really good Ethernet connection. So there's that. Also, the Switch will come with 256 gigabytes of storage, but it will only support the SD cards that are considered express SD cards. So your regular SD card will not work on this console. I'm telling you that right now. You're going to have to buy a brand new Express SD card, which are more expensive, by the way. They also say that new dock supports up to 4K resolution. Yes, that is true. And all the new Nintendo trailers were in 4K. The fan ventilation is available in the dock, and BC with Switch 1, so a physical and digital. Then, moving on. Switch 2, Welcome Tour Games. This is a new game that's just like a welcome introductionary game to the Switch 2. I don't see the point in it. It seems kind of ludicrous in my opinion, but they're going to be charging for it. Explains and shows off the tech of the Switch 2, tech demos and mini games, paid digital only game, and a launch title. Again, I don't really see the use case. It's just going to be like a bunch of mini games. Don't really see how useful that would be. Next up, Switch 2 game cards are the same size as Switch 1. They're red with faster data read speed. So yes, you will be able to get these ones. The red ones will be like the ones for the Switch 2, and they will be faster apparently. And then in Nintendo Switch 1 on the other side over there, you can see. Also, though, is the micro SD card. So micro SD cards for Switch 2, high-speed transfer possible. Regular micro SD cards are not compatible with the Switch. So yes, if you have an original like version of these, micro SD cards, you can't use it. It needs to be an express version. It needs to be an express card. Otherwise, if it ain't express, it ain't gonna work, which is really unfortunate. Next up, system transfer options. So yes, you can system transfer for save data, digital games, and more between your original Switch and the Switch 2, which is great. Then, of course, also, there's the Switch 2 Pro Controller. This Switch 2 Pro Controller is gonna be, I think, around $79.99 US in terms of pricing. So, launch date. Available June 5th, 2025 is when the Switch 2 launches. Next up is a list of some of the games. So Switch 2 plays 3 types of games. They can play Switch 2 games, which are exclusive to the Switch 2. That's Game Type 1. Game Type 2 is compatible Nintendo Switch games. This means your old Switch 1 games can be played, both physical and digital can be played on the actual Switch. And then you also have, of course, the third version, which is Switch 2 Edition. So this is either old games that have been made now available on the Switch 2 as like special editions. So there's that. And yeah, that's going to be available there. So compatible with Switch 1 games, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games, upgraded versions like improved visuals, unique ways to play, and more. Super Mario Party Jamboree Switch 2 Edition announced with mouse controls, audio recognition, more expressive rumble, camera options, and new modes. Fair enough. So, Super Mario Jamboree with Switch 2 Edition out July 24th includes upgrade options to players via Upgrade Pack. Then we have Switch 2 Edition games. Whew, sorry, I'm trying to catch my breath because I've been talking nonstop for like the last 5 hours. So, Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, enhanced frame rate and visual HDR. So yes, you're going to be getting upgraded versions, Switch 2 versions of these 2 games. They will be coming out, so you can get your hands on that in case you want them. They'll be on there. And they will also have a compatible app called Zelda Notes, which will be compatible with the mobile app. So there's that in case you need it. It's to give you guides and ways to connect with the game and actually be able to share special builds and stuff with your friends. Also, Kirby and the Forgotten Land Switch 2 Edition will have improved graphics, frame rate, and more content with a DLC called Star-Crossed World, which we already spoke about a little bit. Also, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond Switch 2 Edition with mouse controls, 4K 60 FPS or 1080p 120 FPS with HDR, as you guys can see at the bottom right here. In case you guys care about that kind of stuff, there you go. You got the quality mode, you got the performance mode, depending on what you prefer. Then, of course, we have Legends EA with the 2 Switch editions with the, increased frame rate, which we already spoke about at the beginning of this whole thing. So let's move on to the next thing. There's also a new game called Drag X Drive. It's like a Paralympic type game where you you play with, in wheelchairs, basketball, which looks pretty neat. Graphically, doesn't really look like a Switch 2 game you'd expect, graphically expect more. Elden Ring also is confirmed. You also have Hades 2 coming to Switch later this year. Street Fighter 6, as well as Amiibos for Street Fighter 6, as now also confirmed. We also have Daemon X Machina sequel coming September 5th. So yes, if you enjoyed Daemon X Machina of the original Switch 1, that's coming as well. Split Fiction, which is a new game that came out only recently, last month. That's also going to be getting a version on the Switch. EA Sports and Hogwarts Legacies are coming as well. You also have Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4 are also coming. You also have Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition is going to be coming out as well. And a new James Bond game from IO Interactive or IO Interactive is coming as well. The same people who make Hitman are making a new 007 game. Hopefully going to be something like a GoldenEye, spiritual successor. That'd be really nice. Moving on, Bravely Default remasters are coming to the Switch. On top of Yakuza 0, Director's Cut announced for Switch 2 as a launch title. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment is a brand new game. This is a collaboration with Koei Tecmo. So it is essentially a new Dynasty Warriors type game. They already did one like Hyrule Warriors before. So this is a new Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment is going to be coming out. We also have a bunch of GameCube stuff. So GameCube coming to Switch Online. Plus an expansion patch for Switch 2. So Zelda Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, and F-Zero GX are going to be compatible and launch with Switch 2, but there will also be, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness and Pokemon Colosseum, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Colosseum is going to be on there. There's also going to be a special Switch 2 Nintendo GameCube controller, which is going to be coming out as well, available on the Nintendo Switch 2, same day as the console drops. That's going to be available. The cost is probably going to be $79.99 or $90. Deltarune Chapter 1 to 4 coming to Switch 2 at launch. Yes, all the way to 4. So yes, that means that people who are waiting for Deltarune's 3 and 4, Chapter 3 and 4, there you go. I'm not too versed on it, so I wouldn't be able to tell you more about that. But the Borderlands 4 coming to Switch 2 this year. Yes, Borderlands 4, a game that normally wouldn't be playable on a Switch 1. That's going to be on here. Civ 7 is coming, as well as with like mouse control support, because of the whole like Joy-Cons being mouses. WWE 2K and NBA 2K14 is 2K, NBA 2K 25, I don't know, is coming out as well. Then there's also Cyberpunk 2077, so that's the big one. Cyberpunk's coming out. Also, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is coming to the Switch 2. And Silksong, yes! Silksong is confirmed, ladies and gentlemen. That is happening. You also have various titles coming to the Switch, like just a mix of stuff. We got Kunitsu Agami Path of the Goddess. You also have Wild Hearts S, which is a game that I don't think did too well. Fast Fusion, Star Wars Outlaws. There's a bunch of games, like a mix of games. You also have Arcade Archive 2 Ridge Racer. And there's the big one, of course, for me, which is a new From Software title. Yes, it's a Bloodborne-looking type game with like a very gothic aesthetic, zombie aesthetic. No, sorry, not zombie. Like vampire aesthetic. It's called the Duskbloods. Yes, it sounds a little bit like Bloodborne, but yes, the Duskbloods is a new game from Software, and it's exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2. It is, of course, From Software, the people that make Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Bloodborne, Sekiro. They're the guys who basically created like the whole Souls genre, right? Like a hard game equals Souls game, right? But yes, they are making a new game, and it is going to be exclusive to Switch 2 and coming out in 2026. Of course, we can see here information from Hidetaka Miyazaki, who is the director of the game, and he does a whole explanation about his thoughts and stuff on it. So there you go. Also, Kirby Air Riders is announced from Sakurai in 2025. That's going to be coming out, so in case you care about that. We also have a brand new Donkey Kong game. It's Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is a massive game. It's got like an open world type of action-adventure aesthetic to it. So think about like Mario Odyssey. That's kind of the vibe they're going for with this. Also, it's going to be a Mario Kart bundle. Yes. There's going to be a Mario Kart bundle with a digital version of the game coming out. That goes for about $500 retail. It's going to be retailing for about that. It's going to be a limited quantity. Enter the Gungeon 2 is going to also be coming out. And let's move on. Nintendo Switch 2 pricing and specs. So this is the Japanese pricing. We're going to look at the English pricing as well, which if we scroll up, we'll see that right up here. I think we'll find the actual pricing because it is a little bit more expensive. So starting off things, we have, for example, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and The Legends of Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition upgrades are free to Nintendo Switch Online and expansion pack members. So yes, if you have if you have that, you can upgrade. If you already own these games, you can already upgrade them without having to pay for it, which is nice. I mean, you have to pay for the online thingy. Mario Kart World MSRP. This is for the eShop version, by the way. It's going to be $79.99. If you want to buy it physical, it's actually going to be $90. That's what was on the websites. In case you guys do not believe me, it was on there. So there's that. Moving on. The MSRP for Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be $69.99 for the eShop version, but I think, as I saw the European version of this, the physical version of it is going to be $10 more. So just keep that in mind. Also, the actual compatible SanDisk version of like the Micro Express SD card for 128 to 256 is going to be between $45 to $60 as well. On top of that, also Nintendo Switch 2 US website update. So the Switch 2 Pro controller is $79.99, Joy-Con is $89.99. The camera is $49.99, and the dock set, if you want to buy an extra dock, I guess, I'm hoping I'm hoping so, at least that, they're not going to remove this. I don't think so. They do say here, or set up a second one, to replace your existing one. So there's that. But that's going to be $100.99, so that's pretty hefty pricing. We also have the box arts here. I'm not the biggest fan of how like chunky it is on the top, but there you go. There's the box art for everything. This is the new box art for these games that will be in stores, by the way. So there it is. Then also, we have an entire list of games that won't be compatible and games that will be compatible with the Nintendo Switch 2. This list is pretty long, and I'm going to be honest, most of the games that aren't compatible are like a lot of like third-party titles that people don't really know much about. And majority of games are going to be compatible, so there's not too much stress about that. They also show what like actual accessories are compatible. So yes, you can use your old Joy-Cons. You cannot connect them, but you can wirelessly connect them and use them. You can use your old Switch Pro controller, and even your old like N64 and Sega Genesis like ones that were compatible with the Switch 1. That will be compatible again. There are some things though that won't be compatible. Like I think the Ring Fit is not compatible. The Joy-Con wheel, the Joy-Con charging grip, those kind of things will not be. So anything that required the old Switch, like, you know, Joy-Cons will not be compatible. Like, for example, the Switch dock and things along that nature. So keep that in mind. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've gone through most of it. There's also some updates on specifically game key cards. This is a really bad thing in my opinion, but apparently game key cards are different from regular game cards because they don't contain the full game data. Instead, the game key cards is your key to downloading the full game to your Switch, to your system via the internet. So yeah, when you buy games now, you're not actually buying the game. The game key cards are different from regular game cards because they don't contain the full game data. Instead, yeah, this is the kind of thing. So you're going to have to read at the bottom what it says, and it's going to say game key card instead of actually saying, like, you know, so you're not going to actually be getting like a physical version of the game. It's still just essentially more like a code. Here's what the game key card packaging looks like. And of course it says it because they don't contain the full game data. Instead, the game data card is your key to downloading the full game. After it's downloaded, you can play the game by inserting the game card into your system and starting up like a standard physical game card. So yeah, yeah. So here's how it works. Insert the game card into your system, download the game, and then play the game. So yeah, basically physical is essentially disappearing is what they're doing with this, more or less. Also, micro SD card and micro SD Express card compatibility with the Switch 2 and the Nintendo Switch. So yes, you will not be able to use micro SD cards on your Switch 2. You will only be able to use micro SD Express cards, which are, again, more expensive. So there's that. Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games features and look at the Switch 2 UI. So yes, you can see what the UI is going to look like here. Let's just take a look-see at that. So here is what the UI looks like. It looks basically identical to the Switch 1. They haven't really done jack all with that. They've just kind of kept it the exact same. Also, here you can see some of the actual improvements between these games. For example, for Breath of the Wild, supports Zelda notes, that specific app, improved frame rate and resolution, faster load times, and HDR support. And then for Super Mario Party Jamboree, you can see the entire list here. You can just pause my video in case you want to read any of this info. But there it is, all is, because my brain is starting to hurt because I haven't had enough air, literally. Also, in case you guys are in the US, GameStop now will take trade-ins for the Switch OLED version 1, version 2, original Switch, and Lite, and will give you money in return for a Switch 2 reservation and, I guess, a discount for the Switch 2. Also, free updates for select Switch games on Switch 2 may improve performance and add supports for certain features, such as Game Share in select games, and this is the list of those games. Which are included in that. Scarlet Violet is in that, of course, as we already know, which is great. Moving on. Yakuza 0 Director's Cut will get a physical release for the Switch 2. Doesn't specify if it's retail or LRG, so we don't know, but that's interesting nonetheless. Moving on, though, up further. Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition for Switch 2 includes Luigi and Mario colored theme content. In case you were into that, you can have Mario and Luigi outfits, I guess. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it is interesting. It is interesting. So, yeah, I think that pretty much summarizes it. I don't really know if there's much else for me to say, but thank you all for watching. I'll be seeing you guys all in the next one. Let me know in the comment section down below. How do you feel? Are you going to be buying this thing day one? Are you not? Let me know. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.